Might makes right. I talked about this the other night. This is Brent Allen Winters. Brent Allen Winters, a common lawyer, comments concerning might makes right. Romans chapter 13, verses 1 and 2. Power used without authority is lawless. Power used without authority is lawless. There's a difference between power and authority. Authority is what a fellow must have lawfully to use power. All authority or jurisdiction, synonyms, that any man has traces its spring, its source back to God, the only true lawgiver. Romans chapter 13 says all authority, all right, all jurisdiction, all warrant are from God, period. Therefore, all authority, all right, and all warrant, wherever you find it, I mean, if it's truly authority, is not to be rebelled against, period, if it's true. And it's your job, my job in life to discern in every situation, with every place we find ourselves, who has true authority. I pulled up to a parking place one time. It was at a college. I pulled up, had a 63 Chevy. 63. 4-door sedan, straight six motor. Impala. I pulled up, I got out of the car, and there was an older man, probably in his 40s. That was old to me at that time. I don't know how old he was. He was walking down the sidewalk, and he stopped and started walking back toward me. He said, "You can't park there." And what did I say? Says who? You? He says, "You can't park there." I said, "Says who?" And he got real ugly with me. Got physically confrontational. Finally, I got out of him. Who said I can't park there, and it wasn't him. But isn't it natural that we would say, by what authority are you saying what you're saying? By what authority are you doing what you're doing? Well, I just know it's right. Well, that's not good enough for me, because all authority is delegated from God somehow. And if you have true authority to say something, you got it from God, okay, I'll go along with that. It came from God. I'm not going to fight it. But if you're just blowing smoke, if you're flying the flag of authority and you don't have that authority, I'm not interested in paying much attention to it. That's called a false flag operation. By the way, that's a violation of, false flag operation is a violation of the commandment that says, take not the name of thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain. What does that mean? You're not supposed to say cuss words? No, it doesn't mean that. It really doesn't mean that. You shouldn't say cuss words. There are other places in the Bible say, don't let any unwholesome speech out of your mouth, but that's not what this is talking about. And we're going to get to that, hopefully, in Exodus. We're going through Exodus on Sundays. What does it mean to take the name of the Lord thy God in vain? Well, the word name always indicates somebody's authority. I come in the name of the United States. Well, see, that's coming in the name or in the authority of the United States. Are you here on your own, by your own self, or are you coming on behalf of somebody else? I'm coming on behalf of my principal, and I got a power of attorney. I'm coming in their name, not mine. See? I'm a lawyer. I represent people. I write pleadings. I don't write it like I'm filing the complaint. I write it like, well, it's my clients that filing the complaint. I'm just the guy helping him. I'm not really the complainer here. And he's given me authority, see? So I don't come in my name. I come in his name. And name means authority. It does with us, and it did in the Bible as well. Thou shalt not take the name. I translate it in the Winterized Version, named authority. Thou shalt not take the named authority of the Lord thy God, okay, his authority, in vain. Well, that's a fancy word, frankly. And I translate it this way. It just means emptiness. Vanity means, is a Latin word, it means empty. Empty is a blown bladder, to no purpose. Do not take the name of the Lord thy God to no purpose, to emptiness, without any lawful reason. Don't fly the flag of God and say, I have God's authority, I have the authority of Jesus Christ. And you don't even know what you're doing. You're just lying. You're taking the name of the Lord thy God to emptiness, to no purpose, in vain. Do you understand what I'm saying? Well, all authority is from God. Romans chapter 13, somehow it gets to men, delegating it directly or indirectly. Thus men are unable, individually or collectively, to add efficacy to the life and works of Jesus Christ, the only mediator between God and man. Wait a minute, Brent, you jumped from authority coming from God to the life and works of Jesus Christ. Let me continue here a little bit. That's really what Romans chapter 13 is all about. Everything in the Bible is about one thing, what the life and works of Jesus, the Christ. Everything is of him, through him, and back to him. He is the Alpha, that's the first letter of the Greek alphabet. He is the Omega, that's the last letter. He is everything in between. He's the beginning, that's what John the Apostle is saying there. He's the beginning and the end. He is the end from which he is the beginning from which we are proceeding, and he is the end towards which we are going. He's everything. He's all in all. And all authority, says the Bible, the God, among the Godhead, the Father has given to him all authority on land and in the sky. All authority is from God. And within the Godhead, then there's an agreement that Jesus Christ will have all authority. And he delegates it to men through various channels. Authority is that which its author allows, called jurisdiction. The right, that is the responsibility, the duty to act concerning a given matter, our common law calls the delegator of authority. Now we're talking how our common law terms these things. Our common law calls the delegator of authority the principal. The delegee, the receiver of that delegation of authority, it calls the agent. Hence, an author of authority is a delegator of agency. Let me repeat that. The author, God is the author of all authority, is the delegator of what? An agency. I'm a lawyer. They say attorney. That's an old French word. What does attorney mean? That's a French word that means agency. Agency is a Latin word, but they're synonyms. They mean pretty much the same thing. Somebody has delegated me authority to argue for them in front of the jury. Okay, that's an agency. Your insurance man is an insurance agent. Well, if he's an insurance agent, where did he immediately get his authority? From the insurance company or the broker to do what he does. Another synonym would be deputy. Where does a sheriff's deputy, get his authority? From the sheriff. Where did the sheriff get his authority? From the militia, the militiamen, the possemen of his county. They're the ones that put him in office. Well, where did they get their authority? The Bible says each one of them got it direct from God to do that. But it's all from God. Sometimes direct to the man, then indirectly it can come as well. A deputyship. Further, our common law tradition follows the first principle of God's kingdom. Each man received direct authority from God. To as many as received him, to them, John the Gospel, chapter 1, verse 12, to them gave he the authority to be tied as sons of God. Not the Son of God, no, but a Son. There is the Son, the only begotten, the monogenes, that means the uniquely begotten, different than everybody else. That's Jesus the Christ. John chapter 3, verse 16, well-known verse. His only begotten, translated only begotten, it means uniquely begotten by virgin birth. That's one of the unique ways not to be compared to anything else. Unique means not to be compared to anything else. Incomparable, in a class by itself. Our common law tradition follows the first principle of God's kingdom. What is that? Each man receives direct authority from God. Every person receives this authority through natural means by nature. By being a member of Adam's race, some receive additional authority indirect from God through other men, like your local sheriff. He has a certain amount of authority, that comes by nature. He's born that way when he gets to be of age. But then he has other indirect authority that's given through him, through the people, the militia of his county. And then he delegates some of that authority, and that's an indirect delegation, from some of that authority to his deputies. In all cases, each man shall answer direct to God, the fountain of all authority. In all cases. Accordingly, jurisdiction, remember that's a synonym to authority. Jurisdiction is a synonym, is a word that stresses a different aspect of the same thing that another word is all about. Jurisdiction and authority are synonyms. They mean the same thing, but they stress different aspects of the same thing. That's what a synonym is. Jurisdiction stresses the limit of authority that is delegated. If you give authority to a lawyer, he's your agent. You just give it to him respecting not your whole bank account, your car, your wife, your kids. No, not everything. It's not a general power of attorney. It's a specific power of attorney to handle this particular matter. And jurisdiction is a word that stresses whether it's a specific power of attorney, a specific delegation of authority, or a wider delegation of authority, and that's all on the power of attorney paper. Bottom line, no man can gain a right, that is authority or jurisdiction, by theft or stealing. You can't steal authority. It's impossible. You can say you've stolen it. You can usurp it and say, well, I got it when you don't have it, but you didn't steal it. It can't happen. It's impossible. Authority is only given at the will of the person delegating the authority. I can't steal God's authority. If he gives it to me, that's another matter. That's his choice, not mine. I can't steal authority from my client. No, he gives me a certain amount, and I take it and run with it. I don't have any more than that. An FBI agent is an agent of who? Who's the principal? He's the agent. Who's the principal? The general government in Washington, D.C. He's given very specific authority about what he can and can't do. You can go read about it. I mean, it even comes down to what kind of grains of explosives are in the bullets in the gun he carries. He's only given a certain scope of jurisdiction to do certain things. So accordingly, jurisdiction is impossible to usurp. You can't usurp jurisdiction, authority, warrant. What can you usurp? Power. That's different. If you're claiming to have authority and exercising your claim of authority and you don't have authority, all you're doing is exercising power. You got the power to do it. That doesn't mean you have the right to do it. Indeed, authority called right is impossible to hold or have by theft. Simply put, to wrongfully claim holding of a right to act respecting a given matter, that's jurisdiction, is delusion of believing the impossible, because no man can rightfully hold that which has wrongfully been taken or otherwise come to possess. Bottom line, no man can gain a right, authority, jurisdiction, by theft or stealing. by theft or stealing. Use of power without authority is an abuse of power. That's called usurpation of power. Use of power without authority is called abuse of power. We see that pretty regularly. Paul the Apostle, writing to the Romans, the Christians in Rome, tells his readers that they are to obey, and this is the Greek word, te exousia, to obey authority. The authority, that is, to obey those under true responsibility, to act respecting a given matter duly delegated. Thrice in these two verses, Romans 13, 1 and 2, thrice, that means three times, Paul the Apostle uses this Greek root, exousia, signifying not power, but authority. Although William Tyndale translates this word's first occurrence aright with authority in French, that's a French word. He uses that French word borrowed into English. He translates the next two occurrences wrong with the word power, and all of our translations, not all of them, but a lot of them, including the King James translation, have followed that error. It's not power. It doesn't say all power is from God. Is all power from God? Yes, but that's not what that's saying. It's saying all authority is from God. There are a lot of folk out there, I'll wrap it up with this, that are exercising power that don't have any authority to back up what they're doing. This is Brent Allen Winters, commonlawyer.com, www.commonlawyer.com, and this is a Common Lawyer Comments concerning our common law, the laws of nature, and our Bible, the laws of nature's God.